Hey everybody, it is, I don't know, 4:45 in the afternoon here on Saturday, and I am out in the New Jersey snow. I got an errand to run. I figured I would check in with you guys. Thanks to everyone for the great response on the vlogging gear review video. I'm going to be doing some more of those, and in fact, I'm using one of the little lights that I'll be reviewing next today. I got it kind of over here, so the light's a little harsh. I got to get some neutral density filters to kind of cut down on the brightness. But generally speaking, I think it's going to be an all right little deal to have. Oh, let's see, what do we got on the slate for this weekend? I got some work I got to do for some clients. I got some software I got to build. A bunch of other stuff happening. Prepping for hopefully picking up a workstation this week and some stuff like that. I reached out to a couple of companies about some gear I want to review. We'll see if we can get some stuff in here to look at. I don't know. I'm debating whether or not to keep I think I'm going to keep the mini reviews here on this channel. The little 5 and 10 minute just looks at some of the stuff I'm using every day, and then the much bigger, longer, more in-depth gear reviews will go over on Production Dojo. And we haven't really talked about Production Dojo too much, but in 2017, it's going to be kind of a big deal. Basically, Production Dojo is where me and a couple other guys or another guy are going to be doing a lot of our Internet of Things projects, a lot of our prototyping. I do that all the time, and the idea over at Production Dojo will be to show you guys what goes into building those items and then getting the prototypes out there up and running. And then, you know, we'll see if there's a lot of interest in the prototypes, then we'll talk about, you know, where we go from there. But otherwise, you know, there's just a lot of stuff I do all the time that I enjoy building. I have a great time building. I spend a lot of time building things because it's the way I keep my skills up for what I do for a living, in addition to just my interest. And I think that's true for a lot of people in a lot of fields, but obviously most of the people I know in tech do it. If you're really good in tech, then you're constantly putting time in, learning new things, playing with new stuff, so that you know, when the opportunity comes to solve a problem you maybe haven't solved before, or do something that the people around you haven't done, you can think to yourself and be like, hey, you know, a couple of guys are doing this over here, let's borrow that idea, or there's this new tool that might help with that problem. And I think that's one of the things that, you know, is worth thinking about, even for people in other fields, or even, you know, in your daily life. There's something to be said for constantly making sure that you're looking beyond what you think you know. Read what other people are doing. Read what people who are doing things differently than you do. Maybe read about those places and those fields and people doing things that don't seem initially to have anything to do with you, because the solutions that smart people or driven people come up with for problems can usually be extrapolated. You can usually model the techniques that other people are using to solve problems and apply them at least somewhat into what you're doing. For instance, a book I'm reading called The Phoenix Project that I'm almost done with. I'll do an Amazon review of it, and I'll link it off Facebook. I'm giving it like a 3.5 out of 5. It's a good book. It's a little heavy-handed in some places for the business philosophy that they're talking about, but they do make some really great points about the idea of software as manufacturing. You know, that we tend to think of software as a purely mental exercise, and physical manufacturing of widgets as a physical exercise. And I know a lot of software developers who think that there's nothing equivalent about those, and yet there is you know, there is an equivalency there when you look at the complex manufacturing steps needed for, say, a car engine, and, you know, all the areas of responsibility that are involved in there, and the testing and engineering and the feedback loops into manufacturing quality. There's stuff there to be looked at for software development. You just have to break your paradigm a little bit and be willing to see them. And I think that's true whether you're in finance, whether you're in real estate, whether you're a doctor or, you know, in insurance, kind of wherever you are, you look at other people who are solving complicated problems, and you see that on some level these things can be extrapolated. You know, that was a little scary for a second. In any case, I don't know, I'm just kind of rambling on that, but there's something in there that we'll talk about much later, and that connects to something we had talked about in herd watching in the last video about making sure that, you know, you step outside of your echo chamber on politics. And this is true, you know, all across that. In politics, it's about your opinions on how you're, you know, looking to solve the problems of society at large. And in business, you have to look outside yourself to see how you're going to solve the problems of your particular business issues. And, you know, interpersonally, you know, you may think that the way you've been working on, you know, your relationships or your interactions with people, you've been doing that, you know, following your same paradigm for most of your life. And maybe you want to look at the way people around you who are having good relationships do that and see what of what they're doing you can model. Modeling is a big thing, and we're going to talk about that a little bit more. The most common place you see the term modeling as a literal goal and task is in NLP, which is something, you know, Tony mentioned in his video the other day, and it's true. You know, NLP has a lot to do with modeling behaviors and then figuring out ways to install those models in your mind or your habit patterns and those of others, and that's all very interesting stuff. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and turn the camera around so you can see the winter that we're dealing with out here. And we've gotten where we're going. I will talk to you guys later on.